It's actually so in which one was it? Because there was one that I wanted to say. Why don't you share your screen? Let's go. We wanted to let's pick a simple one. If unless someone
Okay.
has, does anyone else have anything to work on? Going once,
Well, listen.
going twice.
Any questions?
Because the recording the desktop. No, because that actually needs FFmpeg to read right now, at least to record the desktop. But the talk to AI, how's that? Because that when we want them out the capture the audio.
Okay. So let's do that. We're gonna open up.
And right now we rely on FFmpeg, which is like what 120 megs,
Right.
of an executable. And there's issues with starting and stopping the recording and timing and crap. So it's a little problematic.
Which is exactly the reason why I was looking into this in the first place, because not only we had some timing issues, but if you have something like Dropbox in your computer, it will make your life a nightmare in certain situations. And the reason for that is because whenever you see that a file is either going to be synced or is going to be downloaded, those files get locked. And when they get locked, like for example, right now, 300 and something files are locked in my computer just because I updated Dropbox or said, hey, let's sync. There's a lot of files that are locked. Why is that? Well, because Dropbox needs them to make sure that they need to lock them to make sure that they don't change while they're being uploaded, right? Okay, I get you. But the problem with the recording right here is FFmpeg, I don't know. This is something that we haven't actually checked, Joe, but I think FFmpeg can record to the memory and then save to a file in the end.
Oh,
I don't know if that's a thing. I haven't actually tested it. But the problem that we're facing is that when you start recording, a file gets created as soon as you start. So as soon as you start the recording here, a file gets created and FFmpeg starts writing into that file. Now, when the file gets created, if it is in a spot where Dropbox can access it, you're screwed because as soon as it's created, Dropbox, I think it has a hook. I think it has a file create hook because as soon as it's created, Dropbox kind of like locks it right away. And then you get a lot of weirdness with it. So this library, which is the FFmpeg live audio that we were using for this talk to AI tool, had the start, the pause, and continue. I guess those two, they are kind of like the same thing. It's probably like a toggle, right? You can pause and continue, pause and continue. You can start recording, which basically sets up the recording, and you can stop the recording. Those are the things that we were doing with the FFmpeg. And what we did in the end is that, well, what I took a little time was to research with the WinRT. So the Windows RT, Windows Runtime environment, is a set of APIs that you can access. And Lexicos a while back created an abstraction in AutoHotkey to use that. That's exactly what we did. So let's go ahead and take a look at how I would implement it on this this project. So the first thing is that I have to include the library. Let's go ahead and grab it from whatever it is. I think I got it in the library. And I named it audio capture because that's what it does, right? So it captures audio. We're going to create a copy of it in here. All right. And this one, I don't have a Git repository in it yet. That's the reason why I'm copying instead of kind of like cloning it. But we'll do that later. This guy, audio capture, has the same stuff as the other one. It has a start, it has a stop, and then it has a toggle pause, which is what I meant before. Instead of having pause and start or continue, I just have it in one button. It's the same function. You just call it. Now, this guy here, the exit handler, allows you to make sure that when everything stops when your script exits. This handler gets called and we make sure that everything stops. Okay, that's what it is. Now, what is the difference between this one and the other? Well, you can give it a file path where you want to kind of save the information. You can set your encoding, which could be MP3, MP4, WAV, WMA. Those are the types of files that you can use. You can set different quality settings like auto, high, medium, and low. But this is the interesting one, is record to file. So this is a yes or no question. And basically, as the text here says, you can tell it to record directly to a file if you wanted to. It defaults to false. What this does is that when it starts, it actually creates a memory location. This is a memory address that I get. And all of this access right here, it is invalid because I have to include a different library, which is the one that I'm going to get now, which is the WinRT. Here we go. This WinRT is what Lexicos created. Let me just do here cd lib git submodule add, and we're going to put this library. Whoop, there we go. And that's something that I have to also include in my tool here. So let me see, where is it? Didn't I include? Okay, let's include both then. Include audio capture and include WinRT. And this is the, oh, wow, what's going on? That's weird. Okay. Not sure why he's doing that, but this is what David was referring to. So this is a library that depends on another library. And how do you know those kind of things? Well, with the modules, you will not have to think about it. When you include this module in your script, it will automatically let you know, hey, you have to download this group of things. So now that I included both, that's it. Now the only thing that I can, so as soon as I included both, now I can just say audio capture.start and put my information like output.mp3 and so on and so forth. Give me just a second, guys. Let me stand up for a second. I got somebody here in the door.
I did ask Grok, and it said that unfortunately you can't with FFmpeg write to memory, but it offered a workaround, streaming it to the output, what's it called? Output,
Standard output.
standard out. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, this Windows Runtime, we did a couple videos on just talking about it, and this is one out of hundreds of things that you can do with it, right? We're just playing with a couple methods here, but it's really got a lot of stuff for being able to do things. And we probably could do video as well, and actually like avoid even having OBS, right? Record audio and video and make our own files, make it really easy to do stuff. Last night, Ryan, a buddy of mine, he's on the call sometimes. He told me and now he's using Python, but he had for several years wanted to be able to fake like how OBS, like right now, how I have this text over my head, right? I'm overlaying text in the webcam. He's been wanting to do that without having to have like OBS to do all the extra virtual screen. And he's figured out a way with Python to do that without having OBS or anything else. So he's gonna keep working on it and then show me that at some point.
All right. Sorry about that. All right. So yes. Windows RT, I was listening to what you were saying, Joe. Windows RT, it's great because it has a lot of functionality that we're kind of like exploring right now. But one of the things that I've noticed is that Windows RT is meant for things that your own application can do, and it cannot interact with other applications. I've noticed that.
No.
A lot of times when I say like, oh, can I take a screenshot of the full desktop? Oh, no, you can't. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't? No, you can take screenshots of part of your app or windows that your app created, or you can do this, but it never like the full desktop. It is kind of like sandboxed. So maybe it will be useful for a lot of things, but most of them have to do with your own app. About interaction with other parts of the system, like other apps, is very limited as far as I've noticed. I've been very surprised of things that I thought like, oh, can I do this? And I was like, no, you cannot do that. And I'm like, what? But right now, this is it. We just have the starting of a capture control here. And one of the things that I was doing on the other in one of the programs that I was working with was then setting some hotkeys for that, which we would have to find where the recording and stuff is. So here, where it creates the live audio and pauses it right away, we would do the same. But this is behaving in a very different way than what I'm going to do right now. So here, the record out path, I would use that very likely. And we can leave the encoding to MP3 or something, right? I don't know if the path has the word MP3 in it already. If it does, it doesn't need anything like that. And right. I don't want to record to a file. I actually want to record to memory. So just by starting like this is good. If we start the recording, it starts right away. So we are recording as soon as we hit that. But if we were recording already, let me see, hold on. Does it start a new one? You see, I've never thought about that part. What happens if I'm recording and I press start again? Oh, yeah, here. So if the state is not idle, it's going to be ignored. So if you press F1 to start, and then you press F1 again, it is already recording, so it's not going to do all this again. So that's good. Because what I wanted to do is we start the recording. We can pause it right away. So I could say audio capture, toggle pause.
You think there'll still be a delay like of
no, not at all.
Okay, well, that was why we were doing that with FFmpeg. Yeah. Right.
But we don't need to do, well, I like to set it up, but basically what I would do in my case, what we did in Danny's script, or well, no, it was not with Danny, it was somebody else. It was if audio capture recording, let me see, what is it called? Status state. I think it was recording. Then we pause or toggle. So audio capture, toggle pause. Else, then we start it. You know, so whenever you press F1, if we are already recording, just toggle whether you pause the start and end. But if you're not recording yet, then go ahead and start the recording. And actually, in some other cases, for F2, for example, then we had the audio capture stop, and that kind of like when you stop, that's when all your recording that is in memory right now will go straight into a file. So Dropbox cannot mess with it because it is in memory the whole time, and the only time when we touch that file is when we stop and we're gonna save all the data into it. So by the time Dropbox sees it, it is already the full file. So now when I say stop, now the state is not recording anymore. So when I hit F1 again, what is going to happen is that we're going to start recording. Does that make sense? So basically, I know if I, let me do this. Let me switch these guys around. I want this one to be the if statement. And basically, if the state is actually not recording, then we want to start. And actually not paused. Not pause. Right, because I want to make sure it's either recording or paused. And actually, hold on. Did I have that? Yeah, the state here. So it says idle, and I remember that I could have recording or something like that. Yeah, recording. There it is. Right, so the state must be recording. I have to make it more obvious. So while the state is not recording, and we're also not paused, in those cases, when that's the case, that means that I'm stopped. And for that reason, I can just start recording a new audio. In any other case, whether I'm recording or I'm paused, I want to just toggle the pause state by, in that means that I have 3 actions with the same button. I have start, pause, and continue, all within the same button, and just seamless, and then just another button to stop, right? So now when this finishes, so that means when I stop, then I want to send the audio to AI. Well, then at that point, I already know the path, the recording path. So I would send to AI whatever it is. I don't know which functions you guys have, but we can figure it out. But that's it. We just stop and send the audio to whatever AI needs to be sent, and then get the response. And now that response, we're going to send it. So OpenAI chat, and then we're going to pass the text as the prompt. So that's kind of like our prompt that we're going to pass it. And then we're going to get a response there that later on, we're going to put it in a GUI. So update display or GUI, passing the resource there. So basically, that's kind of like some pseudocode. This doesn't work yet, but that's how I would like to write it so that it is very intuitive. First, if I press F1, it starts only when it is not recording or if it is not paused. And that's when we start. In any other case, it just toggles the recording because I'm going to be speaking. And that's all of that done with F1. And when I hit F2, then I stop my audio capture, send it to some transcription tool where I will get my prompt out of it. And now that I get my prompt, which is my transcription, then I send it to OpenAI as part of my user prompt. And I will get a response. And that's the response that I'm going to display in my user interface. If I write it this way, it's kind of like very simple to figure out what the code is doing. And then we can go on, write those functions, right? The send to AI, the send to transcription, or transcribe with AI or something. And that's what I'm going to build, or find the function in this tool that already does that. Because of course, we already built all of this, right? So I just have to find out where it is and how is the AI being chosen, right? So that whenever I go ahead and try this part here, I do it with the correct AI, whether OpenAI or Claude, or and now soon very likely
Right.
Open Router, right? So
Right.